Hey, welcome to Holding Space. I'm Dr. Christopher Parker. I am a clinical psychologist in New Jersey, and I do this podcast as a way of bringing some attention to some mental health issues, not necessarily always in a quirky and fun kind of way, but today may be a little different. I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is gaslighting, and I'm sure that's going to be popular with some of you too, as it seems to come up a lot. You've probably heard me mention it a few times. You don't remember that? Why not? That's one quick example of gaslighting. I really haven't mentioned it other than in passing. So don't worry about yourself. You're fine. But that is one way of getting people to question their sanity, their reality, their memory. Role of a person who is being gaslit is generally to serve the needs of the person who is doing the gaslighting. It is listed as a form of psychological abuse, emotional abuse. It can also be something that is just a way of keeping control over a person. Whether you intend to gaslight someone or not, it's frequently done as a way of keeping people close to you and keeping them off balance and keeping them wondering, what's up. And usually, if you can sort of like break down a person's sense of reality or sense of well being, then they're easier to keep in your circle. They're easier to keep as mirrors. I read somewhere that the typical goal of a gaslighter is manipulation, but also power and control. I think that's sort of a bitter feeling about it. Yeah, it often is used deliberately for that purpose, but often it is also used by people who just want to change you enough that you're able to always listen to what they say. It's a way of keeping you in place. And whether that's done to put you down or whether that's done to just keep you nearby. So the type of person that you might see doing this is usually one of the cluster B personality disorders, antisocial, um, narcissistic, borderline. These people need people to be there and reflect them. They need people to do what they want them to do. What are some signs that you have been gaslit? Well, you start to doubt your feelings and your reality. I had one young woman who came back to therapy for a while. She'd been involved with a guy, and she said, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I like to eat. I don't know what I like to wear. I'm uncertain of everything now. And was it deliberate on his part? Yeah, I think in that case it was. But the hollow look in her eyes was one that I've seen in quite a few people who have been involved with narcissistic people, with people who want to control and keep a person close at hand. You start to question your judgment and perceptions. You're afraid of speaking up. You're afraid of making your opinion known, or even if you have an opinion. You walk on eggshells around your partner, afraid to upset them. It can be partner, family member. You also don't have the best self-esteem anymore. You're not really sure of yourself at all. You may find that you're having more physical illnesses, or at least you're being told you have more physical illnesses. And why don't you go see the doctor because you're not in good health? Why don't you go see a therapist because some of your judgments are just not so good? And I don't know, I'm worried about you. It can come across as caring. It can come across as concern, but it's also a way of keeping you off balance. You start to wonder if you are who you think you are. You wonder if you are who the other person says that you are. No, this is your role. This is what you're supposed to be doing. You feel alone or powerless. You feel strange, crazy, unstable because you're told that you are. And they will give you examples from things that are perfectly meaningless. I told my publicist, Christine, earlier today something about you're going to think I'm senile because I forgot all about this meeting. And it would have been very easy for her to say, yeah, I'm wondering about your memory because, it's not like you to forget things like that. Maybe you should go see somebody about that. Or better yet, let me talk to some people about it. And then they interpret it for you. By the way, she didn't do that. Christina's wonderful. She just said, nah. I know you got a lot on your plate. You start to become disappointed in yourself and what you've become. You could do so much more. Why have you not done more with your life? Um, you feel confused. You start to worry that you're maybe being too sensitive. Why are you getting so upset over this? There's nothing to be upset over. Is there something going on with you that you, and those are like keywords. Is there something going on with you? It's not that there's something wrong with us, and it's usually delivered in a fairly calm tone. It can be given very forcefully. You can be broken down with a forceful direction, but also a lot of times the best gaslighting is very subtle gaslighting. It's just, yeah, I'm concerned for your well-being, and so let me decide those things. You spend a lot of time apologizing. You feel the need to apologize all the time for who you do and what you are, often prompted to do so, but sometimes you just do it because you are not so sure. And if you find yourself apologizing, you can even be gaslit by that. Well, why are you apologizing all the time? Don't you believe in yourself? And you start to say, maybe I don't. Maybe I don't believe in myself. You start to second guess yourself. You start wondering if you're accurately remembering details of events, like what I did with you earlier and said that, like, don't you remember me talking about gaslighting? Well, no, I mean, first of all, it's assuming that you've listened to every single word I've said with rapt attention, which I doubt that you have, because who can do that? And second of all, it would mean that I had actually done something and you were not remembering it. Using that other people are disappointed in you. You apologize for what you do. You try to build yourself up. You have a poor opinion of yourself, which is stated sometimes, and then people start to stay away from you. And that is ideally what the person who is doing the gaslighting wants. They want you close to them. So they will do things to drive you away from other people. You wonder if there's something fundamentally wrong with you. You struggle to make decisions and trust yourself because you will say that you feel like having some particular kind of food tonight. Well, aren't you allergic to that? Isn't there something in there? You don't usually like that type of food. Why would you want that? And, again, some of this stuff is subtle. And if I said this to you and you didn't really know me, it would be kind of like, yeah, no, I know what I like. But once you're involved in an intimate relationship with someone, or once someone is a close family member, once they have gotten into that inner circle with you, then you're going to listen to those words, and those words are going to have more impact. And those words are going to have more meaning. If you can identify with any of those signs of gaslighting, then odds are there's something wrong with that relationship. What to do if somebody is gaslighting you? Well, try to gain some distance. Do something that is helpful to yourself. Do deep breathing exercises, do grounding exercises, see a therapist because, I mean, odds are you're being told there's something wrong with you. So maybe go check it out. And it's sometimes a very, very difficult thing to eradicate because you're looking at a self that's been imposed on you by someone else. I sometimes compare it to being in the Marine Corps or the armed forces. They try to strip away your individual identity so that you will follow orders. Because, I mean, it's not really good if you're in a combat situation to stop and ask the sergeant, well, why do you want me to take that hill? You just need to follow the order. And the person who's doing the gaslighting needs you to just do what they say. Because if you start to question it, then it attacks their self-esteem. Narcissistic injury happens to them, and they will in turn get a little more aggressive with you and a little more, I don't want to use the word hateful, but it's a little more demeaning towards you. The gaslighting takes on a more extreme tone, and you start to really wonder about anything. Save evidence if you think that there's anything going on. If your memory is being questioned, then as soon as you do something, write it down so that you can look back and you can say, no, yeah, I really did do that. I know I did that. And set boundaries. Boundaries tell others that you're willing to accept only just so much in a relationship. And sometimes it's a good idea to make it clear to the other person that you're not going to engage in actions or activities that are trivializing yourself, denying what you have to say. Get an outside perspective. Talk to another person. Oftentimes, you'll wind up losing a lot of your friends over this, either through the gaslighter's plan, or it is something that just kind of naturally happens as you separate from other people and become beholden to this other person for your sense of well-being or identity. You can end the relationship, but odds are that's not going to go over well, and they're going to do whatever they can to hold on to you. Sometimes they may threaten to end the relationship if they think you're moving in that direction. And then, of course, you're dependent on this person for your sense of well-being, your sense of who you are, what you want to eat, what you like to wear. And if they threaten to end the relationship, the first response is no. You're more susceptible to that if you have a strong need to attach to others. If your attachment style is such that you need other people around, your insecure attachments frequently will have this as a consequence. If they get involved with someone who is manipulative, if they get involved with someone who has the personality disorder such that they need to keep control, then it's going to be very easy because you need to stay attached. So you'll do whatever this person wants to do. There's a brief film that I did with one of our former therapists and a really excellent person. Her name is Katie Luke now. We just said, let's just do something about gaslighting. And we just did it off the cuff. We just sat down and I said, let's just film this and see what happens. And it wound up being almost perfect. So I'll give you a chance to look at that.
So I was thinking I'm gonna go away this weekend on a girls' trip with my friends.
Why do you want to do that?
I don't know, I've been really stressed. I feel like it'd be good for me.
You're always so stressed out. With your mental health history, you really think that's a good idea to do that?
Well, now you're making me feel like I shouldn't go.
See? I mean, your depression and your anxiety, you're just not capable of handling that.
Thank you for holding space. It's important to be able to understand these topics. It's important to have someone you can ask these things to. Please leave questions, comments. I do answer as many as I can. And please hit like and subscribe so that you can keep getting these broadcasts. Thank you for being here. And I'm Dr. Christopher Barker.